And welcome back to the Spacebook, talking all out there entertainment, live streaming it all to you on YouTube, X, and Rumble, and Facebook too. Oh, what a week. What a week. And all this hyperspace too, it's enough to part your hair, isn't it? So it's Saturday, the 14th of September, 2024, and we're coming right at you with the week in geek, movies, TV, comics, and all kind of retro goodies. All of it's disclosed, debated, and debagged here on our 100% real-time live stream. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and I've got a panel waiting to come over and join me here in the inner sanctum before we go out on this latest mission there. So please, wherever you are watching us live stream this, whatever platform, like, follow, and do all that jazz. And you cozy down for a discussion about, well, you'll see as we get cracking. Lots to get into, and you can add your thoughts too in the comments section there. So yes, we'll do some interaction as we're going along. Okay. What first? Yeah, let's what's in the machine? Yes, so here we are. We've got a whole panel to bring on. I'm going to waste no more time in how many have we got? Yes, they're all here. Fabulous stuff. Okay, so who first? I think Deliveroo have been. Whether he's quaffing it all down now with the Bacardi Breezer or not, I'm not entirely sure. But we'll soon find out when I bring on the mega geek, Ian David Diaz. Cheers. Cheers. No, he's gone. He's out. You're muted, mate.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know that the mute was
every
on.
time.
Cheers.
Hello, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one.
What was the meal tonight? What was your takeaway?
It was chips and chicken, actually. So,
see, other people would say chicken and chips. They'd go with the chicken first. Chicken and chips. Chicken. You ate chips and chicken.
Well, I can see the chips first before I see the chicken, so that's why I said chicken and chips. So there you go.
we've got the warm glow here of the telly, of a sort of retro but new at the same time telly. So we've got lots to get stuck into, mate, and we've got more people to bring on. Not least of all our shipmate John Yalden back too. Hello, mate.
Oh yeah, how you doing, guys? All right.
Hey, happy Saturday.
I was wondering what Ian was drinking there. Was that a mojito you've got?
No,
tonight?
Mojito.
Yeah. You got Miami.
It's a shandy.
Oh.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I was closer with the Bacardi Breezer, wasn't I? Let's be honest. Please tell me it's not in a lady's glass as well.
No, it's in a pint glass.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're sophisticated here.
You have redeemed yourself, sir. You have redeemed yourself. Okay, next, another one of the regulars. I'm happy to say he's made it to, not sure what time of day it is for him. I think it's somewhere about midday for the one and only Bowles Trek. Hello, mate.
Hey.
It is midday and
34
degrees, 34 with about
freezing
40 degrees humidex. And it's awesome, and I'm enjoying it.
Yep.
So, hi.
Happy weekend to you.
Yeah. And it's 4 p.m. here, midday.
That's near enough.
Coffee. Earlier today, I had a Diet Coke and tried to convince myself it wasn't terrible for me, but at least it didn't have sugar. It just has stuff in it that's worse than sugar. So
that
there
is
you go.
True. That is
the diet ones are in some ways are worse than the full fat ones.
Yep. That's I'm diluting myself, but that's okay.
Well, if you're not overweight, why bother drinking the diet stuff? You might as well drink the full fat one. You know what I mean? So
I'm not. No, I'm.
Really?
Everything in moderation. Although, having said that, we never moderate here on the awesome. We like to bring it all every time, and we have a nice sort of a nice schedule of guests lined up on the show over the next however long. And this time we bring you, yes, he's all caps, always awesome. It's the Rabbi from another planet.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Rabbi.
Hello, mate.
If you told me he was going to be on, I would never have come on, man. What's going on? Why is he here?
Now you're trapped.
Trapped.
Gotcha.
What is that you're drinking? What's that drink?
It's just shandy. It's like beer and lemonade. but-
Okay, I know. Yeah, so Bowles, you should know. I just spent the whole summer. I messed up my stomach terribly from diet products. Right,
Yeah.
so I'm not even joking. I had this. I
Well,
had these little Ziplocs, right, which I was putting the. There's a
Yeah.
drink called Crystal Light, right?
Oh
Crystal
no.
Light
Yeah.
is like powder. You mix it up. It's like chemicals, but it's like 0 calorie. So I was doing it in a more concentrated way. I'm making these ices out of them, right?
Yeah.
If I touched garlic or onions, I would my bottom would explode, right? For many days. Right?
I thought that's why you needed the Ziplocs.
Well, now that's
The only way's up, everybody. Please like the
it
video
took
now.
My wife, like several weeks, she worked it out and said, no, it says you're having too many of those things. And she was right, stop drinking them. I'm back on the sugar. Everything's groovy, baby. Everything's groovy.
I have no idea how that stuff is legal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know either, but it was very tasty.
I'm not even sure I know what you're talking about, guys. I don't think I want to know if it makes your bottom explode.
I'll give you-
having it.
I'll give you a quick description, Dan.
Yeah, yeah.
I laugh. I don't mean to laugh at Rabbi, but I do laugh at people who do this. So it's powder and it's a shake.
Okay.
So you put it in. It's like a health drink.
Yeah.
It's supposed to make you lose weight.
Right.
What it does is, okay, so explosive diarrhea.
Yes.
Multiply that by about 10.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
you do lose weight. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to go to work because there's going to be accidents. Even a diaper's not going to help you because it's explosion stuff.
So you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't really eat anything or
It's
drink
like-
anything else.
Quite that
But
bad,
they should be banned. I have no idea how they're healthy.
It just sets you off like a fire hydrant.
It's kind of. Remember that Mad Max 3, where they're pound by methane?
I do.
Yeah, so it's to say, if I could put a pipe into my arsehole, right, I could have powered half my town.
Okay.
And here's where the show goes downhill from
That
That sounds like a live stream.
I could
that one.
put a pipe in my arsehole, right? I have that freedom. I'm just choosing not to, right?
This is what happens when you invite your mates to come and hang out. Yeah. So please like the video. Now you're going to be having far too much fun later on. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Please do that. And you can get stuck in with us on the week in geeky. We're looking on the tablet and to see what's on the mission schedule this time. And something before we get stuck into the meat of it, I wanted to ask you about one brand new story that I've seen that's come out in the last few days. Took me a little bit by surprise. Not least of all because I hadn't realised that Sir Ian McKellen is 85 years old. Did you know that?
Yeah.
No,
85 years old. Knight of the Realm, of course, Ian McKellen. And he said this week that he's open to the idea of returning to play Gandalf in this new 2026 Lord of the Rings movie, The Hunt for Golem. No.
No,
he's got
nothing against him. Just no.
thou shalt not pass.
No, doesn't sound like a good idea.
He's got one condition, Ian. He's got one condition. He'll take the part again on one condition.
What's that?
It's a very clear one. It's that he's alive. He specified this week to This Morning. He spoke to This Morning on ITV, and he says he'll do it as long as he's alive. But he also disclosed, and this is why he's got into a little bit of hot water, Sir Ian McKellen, because he let it slip that this Hunt for Golem movie, they're dividing it into, it's going to be as 2 films, one story told over the 2 movies. He says, I'm told it's 2 films. I probably shouldn't be saying this. All I know is they called me up and they say these films were going to happen. So it sounds like he's all in.
I don't know anything about this. Is Peter Jackson or
Peter Jackson, yeah.
really?
He is.
Yeah,
Peter,
it's
mate,
producing.
time to move on,
Yeah.
right. It's time to do your own thing. Enough. Right. They were good. They should have let Guillermo del Toro do the Hobbit. It's 2 movies instead of 1 movie.
I remember.
It's time to move on. Right. It's time to move on.
Yeah,
Well,
but the
that's
thing
what I
is,
was-
though, he's been offered a crap load of money, and
Well,
he's
that
not
is
really,
true.
his heart's
That
not
is
really
true.
into it, and he's just taking the money. I don't blame him. I really don't blame him.
Yeah.
His heart wasn't in the Hobbit either.
There's one silver lining to it. At least, hopefully, if he manages to make them a success, he can give Rings of Power a good kick up the backside.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing can save that.
Well, this obviously obviously there is a truly awful TV show going out under the name Lord of the Rings by some sort of loose association, but it's nothing connected to it that I can really see. But in the other corner, you've got this, and as you said, Ian, Peter Jackson is producing this along with a lot of the other partners from those original films, but Andy Serkis is going to be directing it. And of course, Andy Serkis is usually the guy, well, he's always the guy who's sort of on all fours there, covered in lycra and with dots all over his face because he performs Golem himself, doesn't he? So this has been announced as being in the works, and they say it's going to be released in 2026. They better pull their fingers out, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm not interested.
Why not?
All of this is done for me. Heavy effects films is really, I get tired of them, if you know what I mean. I'd
so
rather
do I.
see
So do I.
something real on screen. Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, obviously the Lord of the Rings trilogy and then the Hobbit trilogy, they did kind of break new ground effects-wise, didn't they, in their day? Both of those films, could they potentially do that with this film again? Because it is all of the same people that are involved, albeit at Warner Brothers Discovery now.
Is there source material to this?
No, there isn't.
I have no idea. Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you.
He's just making it up, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a video game. Leave us alone.
Yeah, and also when you said Andy Serkis is directing it, this is Andy Serkis that directed Venom 2: Let There Be Carnage. Am I right?
Oh, it is.
I still haven't watched that without sleeping.
Yeah.
His live-action Jungle Book on Netflix that was called Mowgli, though, people love that.
That was good.
It was good. It was good. Yeah, it was good. I mean, he knows about visual effects. He knows how it happens with the CGI and stuff. That he's good for that. But there's really no need for this. Put money into something new. Take a chance, Hollywood, for God's sakes. You know? Anyway.
Obviously, Warner Discovery have acquired Lord of the Rings now because they acquired the company that made the originals, didn't they? So it's all sort of connected somehow, and that's how the original producers of those original films are involved. So I've got some names here. So original Lord of the Rings masterminds: Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, I recognise that name, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens will be producing and will be, it says here, involved every step of the way, according to CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav. He's got quite a reputation as well, hasn't he?
Well, if a movie executive says it, it must be true.
They don't know what they're doing anyway, do they? Let's face it. The execs don't know anything from anything. So.
Exactly.
By the time this potentially goes into the cinema, Chris, it will have been 25 years since the very first Lord of the Rings film came out, The Fellowship of the Ring, and probably about 13 years since the Hobbit trilogy wrapped. So it's been a long time.
Well, the company in question, New Line Cinema, horror fans will know this is the studio that created Freddy, the studio behind the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, which New Line was bought by Warner Brothers in 2008. Many people, including myself, were not happy about that occurrence. So The Hobbit was the first thing created by New Line under Warner, and you saw how that goes. I think you'll probably hear me. Well, I think you hear me say this pretty much every week. Lord of the Rings, no, go. Okay, you had 3 movies. They were perfect. You had The Hobbit. It's sleepy time medicine.
Yeah,
it looks nice, but it's like you took one movie that was already dragging, and split it into 2 movies so you could have a trilogy. Lord of the Rings or Rings of Power has left such a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I only managed to get through half of the first episode.
I don't even view that as associated with Lord of the Rings.
The problem is it has
the name. It is.
Yeah, for regular people it is, and it's awful. We do not need a Gollum series. Stop bringing things back. At this point, I'm almost to the point where I'm going to start boycotting these. I'm not even going to review them. It's like, give me something new.
But I was unsure as to what he was drawing inspiration from, because there are a lot of appendices, aren't there, to the Lord of the Rings?
Money,
money. It's just money.
It could simply be the fact he's got his eye on that bungalow in the south of France.
Yeah. Also, right, the new Lord of the Rings TV show. It's not their fault. It's our fault. It's our fault being bigots.
Is it my fault?
Yeah, it's all our fault, according to the.
Oh, okay.
I just showed you the tweet. I got yelled at by Amazon because when the first Lord of the Rings atrocity came out, actually I got yelled at by Amazon twice. One, I was getting mad because they kept showing me trailers. They're like, you could just block it. No, it still shows up. And then when the series started, I got my some Blu-rays from Amazon, and it had Rings of Power on the box.
Yeah.
So I put this up on Twitter, complained about it, and then Amazon, you don't have to. Well, just request. What? No, go away. It's just a box. I don't care. I don't want this. I don't even know where I was going with that. I think it was just generally ranting.
Yeah,
Ian's right. Ian's right, because Rings of Power obviously establishes the fact that, you know, we've got orcs now with families, and we've got to understand their point of view.
I can't.
See, do what I do and don't watch it, don't acknowledge it.
But have you noticed that that's what Hollywood's doing now? I mean, that new Wicked film that's coming out, I know it was based on a stage play, but it's taken a villain and given them the reason why they're a villain. And they're not so bad after all. So that goes all the way through the movies. Also, just a side note, I watched, I didn't watch all of it. I stopped halfway through. It's a film called Uglies on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix. And guess what? It's set in the future. Me and John was talking about this yesterday. It's set in the future, right? And it's about this utopia, world. And when you reach 16, you get plastic surgery to look beautiful. No person will ever look ugly after they turn 16. So I don't know what Hollywood's saying there. They're probably saying that good-looking people are bad and stuff like that. It's not good to be good-looking anymore. That kind of thing. So it's on Netflix if you're interested.
They don't know what they're saying, okay, Hollywood. They have no idea what's going on.
I'll add this
with the children. I don't know what to tell you.
I did wonder if Ian McKellen had got this right, obviously, because they'd only ever said that there was going to be one of these, and it does seem like two could be a bit of a reach. But as you've quite rightly said, Chris, they have gone there before, haven't they? The Hobbit was only ever meant to be the two films. It was meant to be another director. It was meant to be this. It was meant to be that. And undoubtedly, by turning it into another trilogy, and even by taking it back to Peter Jackson, who I think still did a pretty good job, but I can't see how his heart could have been completely in it if he wasn't going to do it from the get-go. Here we are.
The thing about Pete Jackson, I actually believe that Pete Jackson has retired, but he hasn't told anyone. Because to go, it's true, to go from these big, huge movies and King Kong and stuff like that, he hasn't really done anything since the last big one he did. Nope. And he did the Beatles thing, which was a labor of love, wasn't it? So I think he's completely off making big movies now. I think
he's got a producer credit on a lot of movies, as I understand it.
Yeah, but he did that First World War thing, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did the First World War thing with the recolorization of.
Yeah, he did that. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying now, Rabbi?
I was saying this is like a little pet retirement project, kind of like that Seinfeld, the awful Seinfeld comedy about Pop-Tarts that was on Netflix. Yeah. That was just like his little side project in retirement. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah,
look. That's what you want to say. Imagine if they're announcing a new Conan movie by Peter Jackson. Then
that'd be awesome.
That would be incredible.
This is shagged out, baby.
But done that. So basically, it's obvious that Pete Jackson is taking a step back now. Age does that to you and stuff like he's done whatever. But you know what will bring him back with full force? If they gave him Doctor Who. If they gave him Doctor Who, he'd be all over that.
It's taken a quarter of an hour, everybody. We've mentioned Doctor Who already. What was the last film that Peter Jackson actually directed? Then that was drama.
Let's take a look.
The Hobbit, wasn't it?
No, did he direct the first Hobbit? No, I don't.
He directed all three. He directed all three of them, didn't he?
Did he? Wow.
He's got to have done something since then.
Okay, we're looking. I'm on the Wikipedia's filmography. Peter Jackson, director. Okay, so his last, the last film directed was The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies. It took me like a week to get through that one because I just couldn't stay awake. He's been involved he was a writer on the disaster Mortal Engines.
That was terrible. Yeah.
And right now he's just listed as an executive on Lord of the Rings. What's the War
for the Rohirrim?
Yeah,
that one.
Oh, what is that?
That's an
it's
animated
anime-
film.
anime,
That's an animated
okay.
film that's coming later in the year. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Executive means he comes into the office and goes, "Right, lads." Then he goes home.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Because I imagine that because this all represents some sort of expansion from the same general place,
Yeah.
like the animated movie, which we'll probably come to in a few weeks' time, does actually come from source material from Tolkien. So I kind of wondered, does this? Because there's no mention of it in the press releases that I've seen. So I can't swear that there isn't, but I can't swear that there is either.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Then it's got to be set around Fellowship, then, isn't it? Where the ring is being discovered, and because you get that back clip of Gollum being tortured, don't you? At that point, so it's got to be just before that or around that time then, where they're trying to track him down. But like Chris said,
Thing is, they obviously don't find the bugger. So what's the point in making the bloody film?
yeah.
Money. It's always money. Money.
Yeah. They're exploiting
Well,
it.
The hunt for Andy Serkis's new bungalow. That's exactly what this film looks like. But
He's making more than a
sincerely,
bloody bungalow out of it, I'll tell you that.
but so it depends where the bungalow is, mate. If it's in the south of France,
so Peter Jackson's net worth is 1.5 billion.
There you go. So he
Wow.
doesn't need to work. He doesn't need
what
to
do you
work.
mean?
Ian,
He's
I think you're right.
What are you going to do with that?
I think you're right. I think the dude's probably retired. He's got his feet up there. He's on the allotment. He's maybe making some jam,
He's
all that
having
kind
a
of
chat,
thing.
okay?
Yeah.
Do you know
yeah.
what, right? Do you know what, right? He deserves it. My God, that guy worked his ass off to be where he is now.
He did.
And he was very creative when he started out. I take my hat off to him because most of the stuff that he's made has been absolutely brilliant. So he deserves to get more money. Whatever he's doing now, he deserves it. He worked for it. So.
What we'd like to know from you in the comments. Go on. So, what was that? Sorry, Chris?
I was going to say, yes, if you look at his filmography, so The Lovely Bones, good movie. We'll let The Hobbit
Yeah, it was good. That.
I like King Kong 2005. A lot of people
So do I.
I don't know why. The Lord of the Rings, possibly the 3 best films ever made. The Frighteners with
Love
Michael
that.
J. Fox,
Brilliant.
Heavenly Creatures.
Heavenly Creatures, great stuff.
Yeah, Brain Dead, underrated movie.
Brain Dead,
Every creature's
I love that film, and
Love
nobody
it.
knows about it.
love it. No, I love Brain
I
Dead.
love that movie. Yeah.
Love it.
Meet the Feebles and Bad Taste. I don't know.
Yeah,
Bad Taste is excellent as well.
Meet
Yeah,
the
which
Feebles is a bit.
Oh,
But,
no,
you know.
now I remember that. Well,
Yeah.
it's creative. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was very creative though. Most of the stuff he's done was with a budget before he got Lord of the Rings, and he's done very well with what he's done. And again, he's one of those directors that I love, and I think he's very talented indeed. So he deserves whatever he's getting now.
Yep.
He worked for it, man.
Sounds like he's getting a good kip. A good 8 to
Yeah.
9 hours a
That's like
day.
it, yeah. Does it?
By the sounds of it.
although I could see why he didn't direct Mortal Engines. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I blame the director for that because it did have, the story was sound, but the execution was catastrophic. And I think it's in one of the top 10 biggest flops of all
I
time.
know I've seen it, but I can't remember a single thing about it. What we'd like to know from you in the comments section is, what do you make of all of this? The guy's right. Should they just be leaving this now to gather dust and become part of cinema history? They just close that big old book on the Lord of the Rings, on the whole of Tolkien, before they cock it up anymore. Let us know in the comments section.
Late for that.
You see, well, this is it. I honestly, sincerely, I keep forgetting that TV show exists. To me, it's like the Shannara Chronicles or one of those kind of crappy sort of C-tier sci-fi channel shows.
Chronicles were at least a bit spankable. Okay, this is.
To me, if you take Lord of the Rings off the poster, the lettering, you would not really know that it was supposed to be the same thing.
You will think it's gay porn, right? You think it's gay porn parody. That's what it looks like. That you would keep expecting them to have gay sex in the middle of it, especially
That's episode 6.
The level of production or the production quality matches.
Yeah, they're committed to 5 seasons of it, so they've got plenty of time to get there. Have you got time to get there as well, or get here with us here at the Spacebook at our new home for all things geeky outside of the TARDIS in movies, in TV and comic books and pop culture generally. So there's our regular live streams here, the Spacebook Live. We talk about the Week in Geek, and there's the Spacebook Listed as well, which are our deep dives into classic movies, TV shows, and whatever else takes our fancy. So be part of the mission and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second and it helps a lot more than you think. Okay, so I've got some people watching and listening along to this in the live chat. A few people watching. Thank you, everybody. So we're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook as well. PD Rich is here for a start. Hi, PD. Good to have you here with us. And so is Michael Q as well. We've got Stephen Braddock here too, along with Darren M. And who else is here? We've got you, John. That's you.
Yeah.
Loads from you.
Hello.
Thank you. Two places at once. This is what we like to see. And what else have we got as we scoot down? People just saying hello to one another.
It's nice.
Peter Jackson, the hunt for Golem. Similar thing, isn't it? And we've got up the dose, who says should have done it sooner. Can Defo reprise his role in a spin-off? Suggests up the dose. So we've got a fan there. I think he sounds pretty keen. Does up the dose. So we've got 1 for and lots of against, but the book is not closed here. You can let us know in the comment section how you feel about that. And do you think that Andy Serkis, he's connected with this character, isn't he, indefinitely? Does he deserve time to tell the kind of story that he feels needs to be told or can be told? Or should they just bugger him off? So pay him off and get him off the project and away from the franchise as quick as possible. Okay, what have we got? Where next? I think we should go here.
Another boring party. This is a job for Beetlejuice!
It's showtime!
Uh-oh. Jake's in trouble. Oh, you're so cute!
Can I be scary or what? It's really dead around here.
Yeah.
Whoa, almost lost my head.
Now this is a party!
I'm the ghost with the most.
Talking Beetlejuice. Pull its string and hear 6 random Beetlejuice expressions.
I wasn't sure if that was a parody or not when I first saw it. Okay, yeah. So, yes, Tim Burton. The geeky pop culture world has sort of fallen in and out of love with this guy. He was originally an animator, then he was a director. And, I think this sort of happened time and time again, really, over the last, what is it now, nearly 4 decades? 20-odd movies, beginning with 1985's Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I've still never seen. And despite this consistent output, though, Ian, Burton, he's not generally one for sequels. For sequels, is he? And he's been meaning to follow up the story of Beetlejuice, who we first met in his 1988 movie of the same name. He's been meaning to do that since the 90s. That's just to my knowledge. But here it is, at last, a sequel. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice was indeed released last week, and we're here on a mission to give you our first reviews because, the juice is loose, as they declare in that film, and Beetlejuice is absolutely back. So, we're here. This is one of those films, just like the remake of Highlander that Henry Cavill's supposed to be making. This is one of those movies which I'd heard so many rumours about over the years that I told myself, John, that I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see a trailer. I'll believe it when I see some sort of location filming. And even then, because as we know, they made an entire film about Batgirl and no book has ever seen that. Even then, you're not guaranteed to get it. So I thought, well, as soon as it's there in the cinema, then I'll believe it that Beetlejuice is well and truly back. Are you a fan of the original film?
I wasn't the biggest fan. I mean, at the time, I think I said before, the friends at school were obsessed with it. They absolutely loved it. But I think there were other things at the time that I was more focused on. I mean, I liked it at the time, but it isn't like a cult classic for me. I mean, it's one I can sit and watch again because I love Tim Burton movies. So
he's the kind of director. Do you think he's the kind of director, John, that with you, if he puts out a dud, you think, it's not going to put you off. You'll be there next time to see what he's going to do next. Is that how you are with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think for me, the strike rates for him more in the positive column than they are in the negative column. I mean, again, for me, Batman Returns is just I adore Batman Returns, and
I think that's the only other sequel he's ever. The only other sequel he's ever done was the Batman ones, wasn't it?
Also the Alice in Wonderland. He did too.
He didn't direct. He didn't direct the sequel, though, did he?
I didn't. Oh, okay.
No, somebody else.
Yeah, very, very strange. So yes, here we are with the sequel. It's called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which obviously that sort of references the film sort of mythos, doesn't it? The new film's finally here, and here we are right up to date. Really, I mean, I can't think of a legitimate sequel that's ever taken this long. 36 years. The original Beetlejuice film is sort of beloved. It's not ever really held up as a total classic, but the people who love it really, really love it. Partly because it was a staple, I think, of the video rental shop days. Rabbi, it was multiple copies as soon as it was released, wasn't it? And it was, I certainly rented this several times. Then I bought it, and then I bought it again.
Right? Yeah. No. I've well, not this version, but I've seen the original. I think the reason this is happening now is because the commercial, landscape is desperately mining IPs. Right? It's the biggest mistake of this movie is this is only the second. If this was like the sixth Beetlejuice movie, it would have been much better, right? If he had been playing Beetlejuice, because he clearly loves playing the role, right? But if he'd been playing Beetlejuice in other movies, not attached to Winona Ryder's character or any of this arc, and then brought them back after, that would have all made sense. But this out of nowhere. Well, I don't want to get into the reviewers yet. But,
do you think that to the general public, because this is a mainstream film, isn't it? It's in every cinema in the world. Do you think to the general public they're gonna think, oh, what? Why? They're gonna half remember that?
That's exactly what they're gonna do.
I think the reason why somebody said this before, the reason why it's successful is because they got the Ortega girl in it, and she's quite well known for the generation of today. So a lot of the generation today went to see it for her. And then you got the parents who know Beetlejuice from the original film, and they went to see it. So I'm not surprised it's a hit. And also the second film isn't that bad. It's not terrible. It's got
it's certainly not woke.
So,
I mean,
so
obviously they've got Michael Keaton back in place. He's 73 years old now, but you'd never know it. I mean, that is very thick makeup, though, isn't it, Chris? Yep. But he seems as nimble as ever. Just as Ian said, he clearly loves playing the part, and he's backed up by Catherine O'Hara, Justin Theroux, Monica Bellucci, Willem Dafoe, Bern Gorman from Torchwood. He's in this too, as well as Winona Ryder, who was obviously in the first film to great effect there as Lydia Deetz.
Is so out of her depth in this movie. She was okay in Star Trek when she had a few scenes. Here she has to carry this movie. She does not have the chops to do that. I'm sorry. It's like doing a job you did when you're an 18-year-old when you're 60, right? And I kind of did. It's not for her now, right? This is I don't think she has the chops to carry this. She's the weakest element of this movie.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It all rests very much on her, doesn't it, Chris? It starts with the story. We catch up with Lydia right away, and she's sort of fronting a paranormal TV show, isn't she? A kind of like a ghost hunter series.
Oh, yeah, Ghost Adventures. This goes back to what I was saying last week. Like Winona Ryder, she's 52. And
is she really?
Yeah, and she's playing a character that she played, I think she was 16. When my math is bad, but she was 16 when they did the original one. Again, I don't think it's necessarily her performance, just they've waited too long. Her especially, she's too old. One thing that strikes me, though, this is the first Tim Burton movie in a long time that I actually like, and Tim Burton has had a very, very odd career. I liken him to Dario Argento, who's one of my favorite horror movie directors. Very similar in both cases. They create masterpiece after masterpiece. And then in the case of both of their careers, a couple decades in, everything goes off the rails. If you look at Burton's early filmography, you've got 88, Beetlejuice, 89, Batman, 90, Edward Scissorhands, 92, Batman Returns, 94, Ed Wood, which I like, 96,
I-
Mars
So do
Attacks. I like. A lot of people hate it.
Classic after
99,
classic
right.
after classic.
Sleepy Hollow, and then in 2001 is really when it goes off the rails. That's Planet of the Apes,
Yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Sweeney Todd, Corpse Bride, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows, which is not. I don't hate it, but it's not great. Frankenweenie, never watched. His
If
last
he'd have-
movie was Dumbo. Remember how
That was terrible.
Yeah, if he'd have felt that he was any kind of creative trouble, he'd have gone back to one of his biggest successes a lot earlier, wouldn't he? He would have felt he would probably have had to. Never mind, have chosen to. But this is something that's never really left him. If you remember, there was a script called Beetlejuice in Love that they just talked about incessantly in SFX and all those magazines. Dreamwatch and so we all knew that they wanted to make another one of these, but it's as if Tim Burton was busy doing other things. He, as you say, each of his films seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger in scale and in ambition. And lately, I think it's probably, as you say, doing Dumbo with Disney. I think
it went off a
dropped
cliff.
like a stone.
It's it's basically life that happens, that change. Look, there's only a few directors that actually beat the time. I reckon Tarantino's beat the time because he's made loads of films in different eras of time, and people still rush to see his films in the cinema, and his films are competent, whether you disagree with them or not. They're competent and they're well made as well. I mean, this film I found it entertaining, and I disagree with the rabbi. I think Winona Ryder was okay in it. If she wasn't great, she was what I expected that she would be of that age. She carried the film as far as I could tell.
Still looks hot.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that she's aged beautifully. I still fancy the pants off this
She's
woman.
amazing.
And in my opinion,
I had a problem with it.
in my opinion, she does recapture the character very effectively. I can actually see what you're saying. I think she's quite a niche actress, and I think there's a reason why she's generally tended to do kind of be successful in either culty films or odd parts in mainstream films, because she's quite a peculiar actress. She's got a lot of charisma. How much range she's got, I've never been entirely sure, but I actually thought she recreated this role quite well myself. And I like the fact that there was a good cast of characters sort of filling it out to characters that I felt interested in and got invested in pretty quickly. This is the first time I've ever seen Jenna Ortega in anything. I've heard of her, obviously. I've seen her because she's a very striking looking young woman. I was really impressed by her in this. I thought Catherine O'Hara was fantastic fun recreating the role of Delia from the original film. And even Justin Theroux, who I usually find a bit bland, a bit cardboardy. I quite liked him as well. So I thought there was a lot going on in this. Lots of entertaining sort of angles it was coming from. And for the most part, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
There's a couple of things that I thought that when I compare it to the first one, I don't know about you guys, but the animation in the first film was very creepy. It was very janky and it was creepy. You know, the walls forming and the stuff like. And it's replaced in this film by CGI.
Yeah,
which it doesn't look like animation at all, and it doesn't.
What about the
I think parts of it do.
The towards the beginning, is that CGI?
Sorry, say again.
I think it's half and half.
The claymation sequence, is that CGI? Or is that
the bit with the plane sequence.
Yeah.
No, that's animation. That's some computer animation.
Okay, cool. I thought that was animation.
There seemed to be a lot of traditional creature shop style effects in this stuff that people were wearing they'd been painted on. I mean, for example, when we meet up and we go to the afterlife, I mean, there are going to be spoilers for this film in this review, everybody. When we go to the afterlife and we see Jenna Ortega's character's biological father working in the afterlife, and he's there with those piranhas sort of stuck to his face and things like that, and they're sort of flapping away like that. It's tremendous fun, and obviously they're not trying to sell us on the idea that they look like real piranhas. The joke is in the fact that they look like what they are. It's almost like something you would have seen in Labyrinth, John, and that's another reason why I responded to this.
You know what? There's one minute where I laughed. Sorry, John. There's one bit where I laughed, and I was the only one in the cinema that laughed when Ortega asked Winona Ryder what happened to the couple that lived in the house, And she said, "Oh, they found a way to move on." And she said, "That was convenient." And I thought, "Yes, that is convenient. That is convenient."
Really
So
wanna
obviously
see
that was
Alec Baldwin.
that
Does
was the
anybody wanna see Alec
Maitlands.
Baldwin?
Yeah.
Not particularly. The Maitlands, that's Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, played those two characters in the original film. No, they're not in this. There will be people asking. And they were very much the heart and soul of the first film. I watched the first film again a couple of nights before I went to see the second one, just to refresh my memory about them. And I didn't miss them. I'm glad they were referred to, but I didn't actually miss them. I was really invested in the new character, so I liked the fact that there was that break, because there must have been a temptation, in all sincerity, there must have been a temptation to bring literally everybody they could back.
It felt like they did, though. To me, it felt like they literally brought every, and that's what I felt the week. I think the new elements I thought were the strongest, but I thought its reliance on the first story, right, the first one. I didn't remember who everybody was. I saw that. I'm like, who's that? Is that Winona Ryder's mother? Are they artists? I don't know what's going on. I'm just
I think that's why I had the instinct I needed to rewatch the first one.
You're right to rewatch the first one.
Because because that first film, it's not a film. Like Chris, you said you'd watch it most years, don't you? But I think I've probably only seen it about 5 or 6 times in the whole 30-odd years.
Yeah, it's... I don't miss the characters that are gone. Obviously, if Alec Baldwin had been in this, I probably wouldn't have watched it for that reason. I can't stand that man. Gina Davis, I think she's pretty much retired from acting. I don't think she's been anything in decades. And Jeffrey Johns, well, his career ended 20 years ago after he was caught doing very, very bad things that I won't mention here. So that's why he didn't come back. Oh no,
right. That's why he wasn't in it, right?
Yeah, he was. He was.
So he's the guy who who originally played Winona Ryder's father. Then, because I was going to look him up on IMDb to see if he was still with us or not. I've no idea about anything.
Around. But no, it's if I won't say it because it will get Dan in a lot of trouble. But no, his he did very bad things. Let's just put it
he would fit it in current Hollywood fine.
Yeah.
Actually, he would.
What did you guys think of Winona Ryder's character being soft? Because in the first movie, she was quite headstrong, and she was very much, the one that was moving everything and, trying to protect the couple in the house. And then suddenly we come to this character, and she's very much easily persuaded by that creep of a boyfriend.
She's been through a lot in life, hasn't she? Life does soften people.
But what did you guys think of it?
Parenthood softens people.
Well, if you remember in the first film, she was writing out how she was going to commit suicide, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So it kind of leaps into the second one where what's gone on in her life, she's kind of comes across as a broken individual who is manipulated by people.
Yeah.
Certainly by a character in the film. But I think she played it well. I think she worked quite well with Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Yeah.
She did. I actually think the movie works quite well. I didn't laugh as much as the first one, but what's interesting about it is that
no, you're right. It wasn't just funny. You're right.
What's interesting about it is that you can see things coming. Immediately when you saw the boyfriend, you knew he was a ghost because of his parents. You didn't see the parents' face.
Hands up! I had no idea. Didn't see that coming at all.
Can I just say,
I saw it coming a mile away. Sorry, go ahead.
The Soul Train I saw coming a mile off.
Yeah, so did I.
No, me neither. No. I didn't see any of this coming at all. Maybe I was just too. Maybe I'm thick. I don't know. But I was very wrapped up in the movie. I really enjoyed it. You're quite right, Ian. I didn't laugh quite as much as watching the first one. But what was there in place of the broader humour, I thought was a more, I don't want to say a modern sensibility, but because cult cinema has evolved, doesn't it? So it was a little bit darker. It was a little bit more bizarre. And I think that's what amused me.
Another thing, right? I thought, because if your parents can see ghosts, how come she didn't contact them? How come she doesn't see the father? And I thought, that guy's got to be alive then if she can't see the father. And then it was disappointing that we saw him behind the counter. Do you know what I mean? In the Neverland, I'm like, oh, okay, well, he is dead then. Do you know what I mean?
That's the one thing. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that I was expecting that somehow one or both of them would go to the afterlife and we would meet the father. I was expecting that, but everything else took me by surprise.
Yeah. I like Willem Dafoe. A lot of people say that Willem Dafoe had no reason to be in it, but I thought he did have a good reason to be in it. I mean, they needed that detective, didn't they? To track them down.
They didn't have to cast
the original characters that had no reason to be in it.
Yeah.
I like everyone. I like all the new stuff. That was
so did I.
This was like really weighted down by them, to the point where I thought the original one was beautifully innovative, right? It would just drive it, like it was so original, and this felt, and again I think it's because of the original character, because this stuff is fun, right? But I think it just felt tired.
Doesn't have the edge.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it doesn't have.
Yeah,
obviously Tim Burton.
I think
Tim Burton's 66 years of age now. Maybe he's lost some of that edge. I don't think Michael Keaton has, though.
No,
Chris,
no, it's there's a what I'll call an 80s edge to the first movie. Back when things were new, when everything wasn't repeated.
Yeah.
It's one of these situations where it's a lightning in a bottle situation, and like Batman 89, you could never create something on that level again, which is also Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So I was actually impressed when I went into this. I was expecting to hate it because there's very little from modern Hollywood that I can stand. Although I do have to give props to Jenna Ortega, who's one of the few, Zoomer actresses that I can say I actually like. And she has kind of marketed herself as the horror actress. She's been in Scream. She's been in X, one of my favorite movies from 2022. She was that Netflix series You with the serial killer guy. I think that was where she was mainly introduced.
Oh, is she a bit of a scream queen then, Chris? Because I'd never heard of her until about 6 months ago.
Well, she also plays Wednesday Addams on Wednesday, which there's a lot of current yearisms to that show, and some characters I don't like. But I watch that because I love her in that show. I like the atmosphere of that show. So it's a rarity now, but she's a genuine actress. So I can kind of see, Winona Ryder, this movie wasn't really centered on her character. It was more the Jenna Ortega character, which I was fine with. I think
it was balanced very well between them both. I don't think one outweighed the other, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
It seemed more balanced to Winona Ryder than Jenna Ortega to me.
Well, she's the known. She's basically. I mean, after Michael Keaton, her name comes second, doesn't it, in the credits? So.
It really should have been Jenna Ortega came second.
And that's another reason why today's generation went to see this film, is because of Winona Ryder, and she was in Stranger Things. So they know who she is.
Oh, right.
So that's why they all part of the cinema to see it. In fact, when I was in the bog after the film having a slash, a guy came in with his son and he was like, "What do you think of that movie?" And his son said, "I thought it was really funny." And the father went, "Didn't you not think that baby was quite creepy and scary?" And he went, "No, it was fun, Dad." So that's the generation, right?
See, that wasn't a digital effect. They probably made it crawl up the walls digitally, John, but the actual it looked like there was a puppet involved somewhere. It's been worked by somebody's hand.
It was great, and I think you guys are probably the same. I just got the feeling at the end of this that it isn't finished. If this does respectfully,
well, I've got something to come. I've got something to come about that a little later on. So I have got some information about that.
I can't imagine that there's not going to be a Beetlejuice, right?
How's this movie doing at the box office? I didn't even look into.
Well, I have all that information. I have that all information as well. So, but I want you to talk about the film itself for a little longer.
I think Chris is right what he was saying a few minutes ago, because for me, when I was at school, Tim Burton was kind of that cool director. Yeah. He was, the fresh, cool new director, and everybody at school wanted to see a Tim Burton movie. Whereas I just think now, maybe it's also a part of people know Tim Burton. They've got the back catalogue of the movies. Like Rabbi was saying at the beginning, Hollywood are just kind of recycling IPs at the moment, and maybe there's that.
Well, it's not that. It's the studio is looking for a franchise that they can keep building upon. And so with this film, there's been one before, and now they played it quite they played this really well because they got the 2 stars that this generation knows in the film. So that kind of pushed it forward. And now it's made a lot of money. They're looking for a franchise that they can make more money out of. So I wouldn't be surprised if a third one comes out. Do you know what I mean?
But don't you think, Ian, that it's diminishing returns as well? Because this one might do well, but the next thing you know, you've got Beetlejuice 8. You know,
here's the drawback that I found with this, in that with the first film, it was very, very clear not only what was the heart of the film. We begin the story with the Maitlands and we follow it through to its natural conclusion, very much with them, even though they start the film as alive and they're very much not alive. Very quickly into the movie, it's really about them, and the other characters, including Lydia Deetz and Beetlejuice, sort of weave in and out of it. In this one, the strands of story and character development going on all over the place, and some of it's really, really satisfying, like the stuff with Lydia and her daughter. I found that all really, really satisfying. It's got an arc to it. It's pretty much perfect, but there's other things going on which you think it's going to go somewhere and it never really does. Monica Bellucci's character, again, a striking actress. You know, you're never going to forget when she's in a film, are you? And she just sort of stomps around throughout the entire length and breadth of the movie, and we're anticipating this big sort of showdown because she's Beetlejuice's first wife, isn't she? That's the story, and he cuts her up into little pieces, and and she gradually comes back together, and like the Terminator, like the T-1000 or something, it comes hunting for him, and you're expecting that's going to really, really go somewhere. But ultimately, it ends up being more like Lady Painfort in Silver Nemesis. So she turns up, there's a few things, and then sort of disappears in a vapor of smoke.
Yeah, but Dan, you know why that happened? I have no
idea.
If you took her out of the story, it would have made no difference. The reason why she's there is because she's dating Tim Burton. There you go. So
there you go. I had no idea. You know what? I was really happy she was in it.
Right? I wasn't. I didn't.
So was I. It was only afterwards I thought, well, that was all a bit unsatisfying. It didn't really make a great deal of sense, and it reminded me. In some ways, I'm quite happy with things being there simply because they're fun. I think that's a lot of what I enjoyed about that Monsters film that we watched that Rob Zombie made, Chris. You know, in many ways, that was that was undisciplined and all over the place, and there was lots of ideas darting everywhere, and some of them were just there simply to scratch an itch or to try something, and that was what I felt was present a little bit here, and I don't know whether that was is that a flush? Are those flushes of Tim Burton's own? Are they youth? Are they being him? Are they him being deliberately undisciplined, or is it just that this film isn't as tight as it could have been? Which is it?
Well, and yes, the Munsters. I will call it a guilty pleasure. I know it's terrible, but I don't care. I like that movie. But the character of the wife or the ex-wife. And you're right. It did not need to be there at the end of the movie. Like, you know, we're getting into the other plot lines that are going on at the same time. I'm getting into this. Then she comes out of nowhere again at the climax. So, yeah, you're here. You have no no purpose. Did not need to be there. And
it's a pity. That could have been a movie in itself, I feel, Chris.
No, it's if you turn this into a movie, I think it would be boring as hell. It's I think the story that they had to go with Jenna and Winona and sort of the are we getting into spoilers?
Yeah, spoilers.
We started with spoilers.
Yeah, because the movie already had enough going for it. I guess we would probably call it toxic masculinity, but it actually does kind of fit in here. You know, the story of Jenna's boyfriend and the story of Winona Ryder's fiance, those were enough to keep this going. And then Beetlejuice, same thing as in the original film. He's a supporting character. It doesn't center around him. It centers around the other characters. I was perfectly happy with the threads of the two very bad boyfriends or very bad fiancés. Yeah. I liked where that was going. I could kind of see it. Oh, yes, and nitpick time, because I always have to have a nitpick. So So he died in. So he's 20. He's been dead for 23 years. So we're assuming he died in 2000.
Oh, this lad. Yeah.
So he's like, oh, you have a lot of vinyl from the 90s. Nitpick. Vinyl didn't exist in the 90s. Nothing was on vinyl in the 90s.
Right.
No, you couldn't get anything on vinyl past about 1994, could you?
Well, 94, I remember Pearl Jam put out Vitology on vinyl, and it was like a big novelty thing.
Yes.
So it's like, no, you didn't get this vinyl in the 90s. It's like current yearisms involving technology. I'm like, no, vinyl was not cool in the 90s. CDs were cool in the 90s. Although I also have to mention, I'm glad that Kill Baby Kill by Mario Bava got a shout out. That's where Winona Ryder met her husband. Brilliant movie. So the movie does exist. If modern audiences check it out, you'll be bored. But anybody that likes good movies, go check that out.
I had Donna Summer in the beginning, the MacArthur's Park theme in the beginning, didn't it? And I forgot about Donna Summer. I've got her album up here, and I forgot how brilliant Donna Summer is until I saw this movie. I might go back and listen to that album.
There was some fun music in this. There was some fun set pieces. I did feel that the mixture of animation and live action mostly worked really well. I liked the fact that Charles, I liked how he was realised, because the idea is he's being bitten in two by a shark, isn't it, Rabbi? Yeah. And so there's the marks of the teeth.
Reason for that. They didn't want his face in there. I just worked out what it is I don't like about the existing characters other than Beetlejuice, right? When you talked about the end of the last movie. Because the last movie, all those characters had an arc. The maintenance were, the center of the movie. But then you had this dysfunctional, kind of nasty family of, the artists, right? And it seemed to be through their demonic possessions and all the ghostly stuff, they ended up in a place of being much happier, better people. Yeah. Right. So that's what I really don't like. That when it started, this is where the Matrix Resurrection, or whatever it's called, succeeded, where I think this fails, because all the payoff you had at the end of the last movie is gone, whereas the Matrix movie, it had moved the world forward, and everything they did in the last movies wasn't for nothing. It feels like everything they did in this first movie, they didn't. No,
you're quite right, because you
converted Lydia.
Watching the first film back again the other day, you dislike them all. Even Charles, who seems quite benign, you dislike him too. And so when they do all start, when Beetlejuice torments them, you're clapping Beetlejuice on. Whereas that's not the case in this. It's more of an adventure movie. I hadn't looked at it like that. I hadn't looked at it like that, Rabbi. I think you're right. You're really onto something there.
Yeah, because Lydia at the end of the first one, she's coming out of school on the bike, and she's all happy, and she's in a school uniform, and the world's all bright. So you're right. At the end of that, it kind of felt they were going somewhere. But the sequel, it kind of picked up on a thread from earlier in the first Beetlejuice, as I was saying earlier, about they kind of were almost drilling into her depression again, which I don't know. Maybe it would have gone better if she had been that bright person.
Well, it's the fault of the screenplay, John. That's what it is. I mean, I think Rabbi's right, and I think again, right. Let's look at the screenplay. There was no need for the wife, the ex-wife. If you took that out, then you need to take out William Dafoe. And once those are gone, it didn't make any difference to the script whatsoever. None.
Yeah. I know. Keep them in and get rid of Winona Ryder and her mother.
No.
I loved Willem Dafoe's character. I loved Willem Dafoe's character. He was a very sort of Tim Burton and Tarantino kind of fringe character who was fascinating. It didn't have to be played by Willem Dafoe. It could have been played by any one of a number of actors, character actors of a certain age. The late Treat Williams would have been fantastic in that role, for example. So I liked all that. I wouldn't have liked them not to be there, but I know what you mean. They are kind of window dressing.
Yeah, well, as I said, if you took them out of the script, it wouldn't have made any difference to the story whatsoever.
Yeah,
that's the fault of the screenplay.
The main story should have been about the daughter with the ghost, right? That was the strongest bit of it. The Soul Train I thought was the visually the most fun thing they did there, right? I really liked that. But I think that should have been the heart of the story. Everything about because I think Jenna Ortega is the most interesting. I mean, I think it probably would.
I agree completely.
if maybe Winona Ryder just showed up in like the Ghostbusters did. And I never saw the last one they did, but they were there as a as a spice on top rather than over egging the pudding with them.
Well, I think there's one trend that we've seen in Hollywood. We'll call it the Captain Picard, Indiana Jones effect. And it's not as extreme, but they did kind of do that to Lydia in this movie where she is, it's like the older person. She's obviously quite a bit younger than both of they are, but, still later middle age. So she's broken, which undoes what we saw at the end of the first movie. Although I like the way they ended this one, where it seems like, okay, everything's all great. They got that montage at the very end. And then it's like, oh no, it was a dream. And then there's like, what the hell? That final scene. There's no way anybody saw that coming. The way
it was very, very clever, very playful. Yeah, I did like it. I didn't know what was coming next with this film. And again, obviously, there's no wokeness, which is obviously that ticks several boxes right away. But being able to surprise me, John, I'm quite easy. I don't often go looking for twists in things. And for example, the things that Ian notices quite often in movies, I never really notice them. Something has to be glaringly obvious for me to sort of, I can see that coming a mile away. So I'm quite easily sort of drawn into something like that. But there was enough in here to really spice things up. And so it's not the kind of film that I will forget whether I've seen or not in 6 months, in 12 months. And didn't they do a sequel to that? I found this actually really, really quite memorable. And some of it is relief, obviously. Just like when we talked about Alien Romulus a few weeks ago, it was the relief that it was safe to look, and I can recommend this to people.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think for me with this film, it didn't ruin the original like a lot of Hollywood sequels do.
It's a different kind of film, but yeah,
it respected it. And it's a film that I could go to the cinema and I watched it and I can relax watching it without any of the woke nonsense that I hate to mention half the time, but it was just a film I could enjoy.
There was three actors in that film that didn't seem like they aged at all. Winona Ryder, the mother, well, she looked a little older, but then she still looked all right. And
she had quite a lot of makeup on it.
And the woman that sold them the house in the first one looks like she never aged at all. She came in the car, I was like, that's the woman.
I didn't notice. It's the
same
woman.
She was.
Is it her or is that the daughter?
No, it's her. It's her.
I mean, if we put aside that question that we often ask when we're talking about sequels of any kind of, was there any need to make this? You can say, well, probably not. There's very rarely any actual driving need in most cases to make it. So if we put that question aside, I suppose as long as a film sort of doesn't do any harm to the original, and that's intact, the things that you liked about that are not damaged by the new entry, that's a good thing. But in some ways, I think we are quite a tough crowd when it comes to these kind of films, because we don't want any successive films in the sequence to be retreads in any way, because that bores us. And we say, oh, we really want something new. But then if it deviates too much, it's nothing like the first one. That's why I feel that I can give because the Rabbi, your criticism of this and compared the arc of the stories and the heart of that first film compared to this, you're right. It makes it a different kind of story. But I feel that in this instance, it's neither better nor worse. I think what it hasn't got in that respect, it moves something else in its place that's just as effective, and that certainly gave me quite a good time with it for 100 minutes, however long it was.
Yeah, I thought it was very enjoyable. It was enjoyable. It wasn't rubbish. It wasn't woke driven. It was just the right balance between what was needed and some new bits in there. It was fine. It was fine. It's not a great movie by no stretch, but it was fine. Again, I would say the first one has the edge because of the effects. The effects were not so good as this one, but the animation in the first one is quite creepy because it was jagged animation. It's very creepy. So in this one, you can tell it's done by CGI, imitating.
So as of the 12th of September, that's just a couple of days ago, as of time of recording, Ian, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice had grossed a worldwide total of 172.6 million. It's the second biggest opening for Tim Burton's career, behind Alice in Wonderland, believe it or not, and it's the third biggest opening of this year, behind Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2.
It's not bad.
So that's
another one's coming.
pretty good.
There's no question. Michael Keaton he loves this role. It's very clear how much he enjoys playing this, and I like that he's in this. They sprinkle him in as he's like in it for like 18 minutes. Yeah. That's how it should be in this movie. Otherwise, but he will do these. He would have been doing them. I wish it was Beetlejuice Saves Christmas and Beetlejuice.
It's a travesty. I agree with you. It's a travesty. We're not 5 or 6 into a whole series of these. I think I'd have probably been quite happy, Rabbi. But we've got to the end of the review section here. I feel we've sort of come full circle with this. What would you score this film out of 5, Rabbi?
6.5.
What out of 5?
No, out of 5, out of 10. Sorry, out of 5. Sorry, out of 5, it's a 3.
3. That's more than I was expecting. So slightly better than average. It held your attention. It seems.
Listen, because of your other channel, I rewatched School Reunion, Doctor Who's School Reunion from 2006 on Friday. Right? You forget how good things used to be, right? You forget how great things were before the the great age of evil.
Before the mind virus, yeah.
I mean, if you go back and watch X-Men, the X-Men 3, which we all thought was shit at the time. Watch it now; it's better than this.
Watch it and compare it to Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
So we've got a 3 from the Rabbi. We've got 3.5 there from the Rabbi. Chris, where would you score this one?
3, not 3.5.
Oh, 3. No, I'm getting mixed up between both your scores now. Okay, we've got 3 from the Rabbi. Chris, what's the score on the Balls Trek rating there? What's that registering?
I'm going to come up with a slightly different rating scale because, as you all know, I'm an obsessive physical media collector.
You are.
So I will rank it on 3 tiers. One is you could not pay me to ever own this in my collection. One step up from that, the middle is Blu-ray, not 4K worthy, and from the bargain bin when
I do that
from Prime Day sale, or is it a pre-order 4K? So I'll do out of 10. I'll give this a 7, which very few modern movies will get a 7. I think the only Deadpool and Wolverine might have been my only other 7 in maybe the last 2 years. I did enjoy it, and there's very little modern entertainment that I enjoyed, and I think y'all know I had no expectations going into this. I thought it was going to be terrible. I also, even though it's not as visually striking as the first film, and I wish we had more practical effects, I think it's still a beautiful film. So for me, 7 out of 10, and this is a 4K pre-order. So
okay, looks like we're going out of 10 then. So we've got a 6.5 out of 10 for the Rabbi. We've got 7 out of 10 there from Chris.
We're going out of 10. No, my bad. Okay, so my math is terrible. I will give this one a 3.75 out of 5.
Out of 5.
Okay, we're back to 5s. Okay.
Sorry,
John.
My bad. I was thinking 10. You can blame Rabbi for that. I'm old and the brain doesn't work anymore.
John, how about you? Where would you score this out of 5 or 10? I don't care. Give us your score.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I would say it's a 3 out of 10 for me. It's nice to see Burton, and it's nice to see Keaton back together, the partnership. But I would say, please give me someone, get Burton and Keaton back together, and finally give me my Batman Beyond movie.
Oh,
yeah.
By the way, my son just came in from Gaza. Say hello.
Hey, good to see you.
Welcome back, home and safe.
Yay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I can't see you, but
you didn't come down with my pizza.
Oh, yeah, you anchovies.
Oh, yeah, you're talking. Yeah, I'm glad you came back just for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
it's quite all right. Happy reunion. So, what was your score again, there, John?
Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Oh, so we're around the same area here, aren't we, Ian? Is there going to be any upsets from the mega rating there? What would you score this out of 5?
2. I'd give it a 2 out of 5.
Oh, yeah. What? Get out! You were saying you liked it more than me. Then you give it a lower score. What?
No. Because no, right. So, like, if it's out of 5, something that's absolutely astonishing would probably get a 4, right?
Right.
And something that is
No,
better
astonishing
than
would get a 5.
something that is really good would probably get a 3. And something that's entertaining, for me, I'd give it a 2. There you
Okay.
go. So it's it's entertaining. It's
I
not.
thought I was always the ultra critical negative.
No, because a lot of people, right, when they say they score something like Star Wars, they'd give it 9. It's like, no, Star Wars is not a 9 because that means it's almost perfect. Which Star Wars isn't. No film is almost perfect. I wouldn't even give E.T. a 9, and I love E.T. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So that's how I judge it, basically.
I would give Suspiria a 9, but that's just
would you? then it's brilliant. Then it's just incredible.
I'm detracting now, but yeah. So far, is this? Do I have the highest rating so far? I do, 3.75. Of course, I am.
This is gonna do your reputation as a miserable old bastard any good, Bolstrick.
Well, also, I love horror movies. I love horror themed things. So there is a little bit of bias there, but I will hold my 3.75. I will not watch School Reunion because I'm boycotting that whole thing. But yes, So Dan, are you going to stick with me, or are you going to stick with Ian?
I am actually gonna. There's Ian sort of smiling throughout the entire time we talk about it. So I'll give it 2 out of 5. I've been smiling the entire time I've been talking about it as well. And there was a smile on my face the entire time I watched it. And I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I thought this was a thoroughly enjoyable film, a good, solid fantasy adventure comedy film. I wouldn't say it's got something for everybody, and I think it's a little bit flabby. Is it Tim Burton's best? No, but I think it's his best for a while. I think you can see he's enjoying making this movie. I think it's gleeful, and as you say, if he's put his latest girlfriend in there, Rob Zombie does that as well, doesn't he? So maybe he's been hanging out with him or watching a lot of his films.
Dan, you just thought it was entertaining then, Dan? Did you just think it was entertaining?
I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. So it was. I wouldn't say it was excellent, but I thought it was better than average. Particularly, I say, would I have thought it was better than average 10 years ago? That's an interesting question.
10 years ago, it would have been a better movie.
Yes.
I don't know, but I'm judging in the here and now, which I think is probably the best way to go. And I had as good a time with this as I did with Alien Romulus a couple of weeks ago. And I will be buying this. I think I probably will get this on Blu-ray. I often judge things just 4K. The same way as. Yeah, 4K. I think it would be Blu-ray for me. I don't, but I often do judge and in tears exactly as you do, Chris, because I've got the big physical media collection as well. So I would probably do the same, but I don't think I'll go to 4K.
Well, here's why you want to go 4K.
Okay.
The resolution doesn't make much of a difference, but the HDR, the high dynamic range, does. Which a movie like this with the contrast and with the colors will look absolutely brilliant on 4K, whereas some of them not so much. But yeah,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Although I know 4Ks are even more expensive in the UK than they are here. But if you have a 4K player, as long as it's a decent.
I've had a 4K player for a while, but I've only just had a 4K TV. So I'm going to buy my first 4K at some point this month. Obviously, it won't be this because it's not out yet.
I can give you I could give you recommendations.
Please do, because I've heard horror stories about AI with 4K, particularly with vintage titles, as John was explaining a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
If you want something that will blow you away, The Shining. The 10 Commandments is an absolute. It's probably one of the best transfers I've ever seen.
The Charlton Heston one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Batman, even though it's not a good movie, it looks amazing on 4K. So I'm detracting here, but yeah, those are. But no, Dan, I would recommend if you're thinking of pre-ordering this, I think this is one that will be worth it on 4K, just because of the visuals. I wouldn't recommend that with every movie, your standard horror movie or standard action movie. No, but I'm actually looking forward to seeing what this one will look like. And I'm going to shut up now.
Great. Well, we're gonna. I'm glad you've said that.
So I was saying I will buy it, but only on streaming. I'll buy it on like an Apple TV Plus or something, which means it'll probably be much cheaper, and you get it as well. I know you don't like.
I am glad
it's not worth the physical media for me. Like I wouldn't buy this one.
I am glad you've said, because I am wavering at the moment. Obviously, it's a very exciting time to have a new bit of kit. I like a boy with a new toy, obviously. So I am wondering what I'm going to get first. And obviously, we do cover physical media on this show as well. So there'll be a dedicated physical media stream at some point in the next few weeks, I'd like to think. And we can glean more knowledge from you, Chris, because I know you're all over that stuff in a way that I am merely a pretender. So I look forward to tapping you up for more information there. So I think that's some pretty good scores here. I think nobody's given it really, really low, but nobody's given it really, really high either. Which it was a surprising film, a relief and a surprise. And I do recommend this to pretty much anybody who watched the first one. You're not going to be disappointed by it, but I would like to know if you have seen it at the cinema over the last week or so. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments section by all means. And we do have some comments over there right now, so I think if we go and check in to see if there's any reviews sat there waiting for us, that could be a good move. We've got a review of your review here, Ian. The Mega Geek is a hard critic, according to Darren M, who's watching on YouTube.
Can I say something though? Okay, right. So I want to address this. Okay, 5 points, right? 5 points. Okay. Dan says Dan. No. I want to explain why I did that. Dan says it was entertaining, right? Hugely entertaining, right? If he gave it a 4, then what is number 5 then? 5 must be awesome. Out of this world. When Dan says 4, I reckon he means 3.
Well, like
because you can't have 4. That's like number 9.
Here's how.
Okay. Your 5 doesn't exist. It's like
here is how I view it. Here is how I view it, and this is when I put up polls in the Facebook group or anything. I always put number. The 0 as in just don't even bother. Worst, but what 1 I would have as poor.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can say that, poor. Yeah.
No, I would have 1. I would have 1 as I can't remember now. Can't remember what. Okay, so I start at 5 with excellent, and then at 4 I have good. At 3 I would have average. At 2 I would have weak, and 1 I would have absolute rubbish, poor.
Okay, can I ask you then, to put things in context, what are your top 2 movies of 2024, if you have one?
Wow.
I haven't seen enough. I haven't.
Yeah, nor have I. I haven't seen enough so far.
Because I can only think of 2 movies in 2024 I liked.
Deadpool and Wolverine?
No, there's that as well. 3 then. Okay. But my favourite movies this year was Furiosa, which everybody hated other than me. I love that world. I think it looks fantastic. I had a great time in it. And Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes, freaking awesome. I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, I've been avoiding modern cinema for quite a time. The last time I'd seen a film until Alien Romulus, the last time I'd seen a film at the cinema was The Batman, which I fucking hated. And it put me off going to see anything theatrically. And I've seen very little new movies in the time in between. You could probably count them on the fingers of one hand. And so the latest season of this show is very much me sort of going back to the cinema.
Wait, did you say you hated the movie I recommended as a good transfer?
What's that?
You said what? The Batman was the one that turned you off?
Oh yeah, he said.
Yeah, I hated it. I'm probably gonna watch it again because obviously there's a TV spin-off coming soon.
It's a terrible movie. Like I actually got the 4K for free, so it's like it's quality wise it's amazing, but it's visually the 4K, but it's a terrible movie. But here's what I'll say in terms of ranking things, because it's very subjective. I think for me, I would say it's how much did I enjoy the film. I'm not really like some of my favorite movies are just guilty pleasures. You know, I love terrible horror and
yeah.
But how much did you enjoy this? I can say there are very few modern movies that I don't walk away absolutely hating. So for me, it's odd for me to enjoy a modern film as much as I enjoyed this one. I don't think I'd go quite to a 4 myself, but I think a solid 3.75. But I can see where Dan was going with this. Like I could tell you genuinely enjoyed this movie. So it's what
It
did you
doesn't
think?
matter.
Yeah,
It depends. You know, everyone's got a different opinion.
I think it's subjective. I think if I did break it down into sort of 10, it'd be different. But I always go by 5 on these things, just because I think it's snappier. I think
easier.
it keeps it simpler, and well, it's easier to run. It's easier to marry them up with polls to run across social media as well, to tie in to making content. You know, it's sensible marketing. If you want my honest answer.
So, question for everyone on the panel then. The films that we're kind of seeing now are kind of the ones that were in development during the pandemic, weren't they? So do you think that there's hope for the future, in the near future, for
we're all doomed.
New films to come? You think
well, this has been in development for decades. So this is pre-pandemic. This is
abandon all hope you went to here.
Yeah, this is a kind of isolated case. I think the success of Alien Romulus could be a better indicator than this, because Tim Burton does his own thing anyway for the most part, and it just so happens that in this instance that he's kind of crossed over with where current tastes may align.
The latest films are still further away from being absolutely great films like the 80s and the 90s gave us. They really are still far away. I mean, Romulus I enjoyed, but the script was absolute.
For every solid film, like for every solid film we have like this that is creatively successful and that gets good box office, like we've just seen there. We heard those figures. For every time that happens incrementally, so Alien Romulus and this and the Top Gun Maverick, there's been several. And if you notice, since Top Gun Maverick, because that sent tremors, there's been increasingly more and more and more. There was only one of these a month ago with Alien. Now there's another one here with this. Eventually, this is the tide. This is the tide turning. I'm not suggesting it's going to save Hollywood, but it is a turning of the tide. It's a pivoting back to profit. This is unarguable. This is unmovable, and it's irresistible for anybody who wants to stay in business. Surely, I would say. So whether how long it's going to take for us to see it come through, I would like to say.
I kind of agree with you, but the point I was trying to make was the quality is not there yet. No. Again, Romulus was entertaining.
It's subjective.
No. If you break it down logically, some of it didn't make any sense. But if you look at something like Aliens, the script was
but what I'm suggesting though, it's subjective. That's subjective. No, Ian, it's beside the point. It's beside the point. Did it have popular appeal, regardless of the things that it did and didn't do? The answer is yes. And as long as it's got that popular appeal, it doesn't really matter.
I'm talking about the quality of the film, right? So I was saying in the 80s and the 90s,
that wasn't the question that John asked, though.
No, I know it wasn't. I'm just saying. That's all. The quality of the films in the 80s and the 90s, with the script, with the performance, you had a deck of cards. They were all really good. But as I said, with these films now, especially this one here, I thought it was entertaining, but there are a lot of things, as we pointed out, if you took out the girlfriend out of it, wouldn't have made any difference. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's all I'm saying. I wasn't trying to argue with anyone.
I would also say as well that, for films to get better, just brace yourselves, because as I said last week, we've got to get past Amy Adams' Night Bitch.
What? You've got to get past what?
Night Bitch?
Night Bitch.
That sounds amazing.
She becomes a dog at night. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Not that kind of bitch. No. I meant heels and hoops. No, change the subject. Change the subject. Yeah. No. Michael Q, help me out. Michael Q says, I like Tim Burton's version of the Planet of the Apes. Chat and Dan, King of the Geeks. You know what, Michael? I like Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes as well, but that's probably...
Finger up my arse and watch the Tim Burton.
I saw that in the theater with some friends back in the day. We almost walked out.
Kalima.
I haven't seen it for a long time, but I have just.
Oh, fuck, he hated it. Ah!
I have just bought the Blu-ray. I think that's probably it.
Even the Blu-ray's a crappy transfer.
Oh no!
I've just finished the 70s TV series again recently.
Oh, that's
wow!
It's great, isn't it?
It's
good fun.
Did you ever see the commercial for the action figures you get for the Planet of the Apes TV show? That was like, I'm going to try that for my stream sometime. It's like you had you got them to escape from the apes and everything. It was awesome. I love that 70s show. Way better than a cartoon.
Yeah, it's great fun. I love it.
I know. Look, the only thing that can save the movie industry, I hate to say it, is Donald Trump. Right? Literally, the economy's in the bloody toilet. And the movies are garbage and the economy's in the toilet. Like, if they can get another Trump term without them all losing their fucking minds again, right, we might get some good movies because people can afford to make them again. Other than that, forget it.
I mean, we could be some way off. There've been some people who have ducked out there in the live chat because they didn't want any spoilers. So we will make sure we put spoilers on these shows in future. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's obvious if you're going to be talking about a film, you're gonna, it's inevitable you're gonna do spoilers, unless you say that you're not going to do spoilers in the
you can't talk about a film at length without giving spoilers, I believe. But yeah, let us know what you think. And that broader discussion too is modern cinema. Is it getting better, or are you walking away sort of permanently? Can the Orange Man save cinema? That was didn't expect it to go there, but yeah, is that a reasonable question? Let us know in the comment section. And what else are you looking forward to? Could you pick your, what was it, Rabbi? 5 favorite films of the year? Could you have 2? Could you pick them? Let us know what they are in the comment section. There's only 2 you like, was that, Chris?
I haven't seen Alien Romulus. I've heard mixed things. People either love it or hate it. I like this, and I like Deadpool and Wolverine. So what are your 2 favorite films? Those are the only 2 I've watched.
There you go.
That's true, yeah.
You're not for Despicable Me 47?
Say what?
You're not for Despicable Me 47 or whatever number it is?
Oh, Despicable Me was really good. I like that one, the 4th one. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
But I've really tried to watch Rebel Moon, but I watched the director's cut. I saw the whole first episode, first movie. No, I couldn't.
I love the way that Snyder calls it a director's cut, but he hasn't actually cut anything. So he ended it.
Okay, Zack Snyder needs to tape himself to Grant Morrison, right? Zack's like visually brilliant, lots of great ideas, shit scripts. Grant Morrison can write and wants to do movies. And they both do comics. There you go.
I'm going to bring this back on track now, away from Zack Snyder, back to Tim Burton. John, you asked earlier on about the prospects for a 3rd film, ideally called Beetlejuice. You'd think that would be the obvious place to go. But according to Tim Burton, this isn't something that he's looking to do. He said, so I've got a quote from him on this. He said, let's do the math. It took 35 years to do this, so I'd be over 100. But I guess it's possible with the advance of science these days, but I honestly don't think so. So if you're wondering what is going to be next for Tim Burton, he's teaming up with Gone Girl author Gillian Flynn, it says here, for a remake of the 1958 film Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. And that's also with Warner Brothers. So you can look forward to that if you remember the original. It does.
Yeah.
I think he's been trying to make this for a while as well. I think this is another one of those projects. So yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Didn't they do that before with
Daryl Hannah?
Yeah, Daryl Hannah.
Yeah, it was a cheap and cheerful film.
Oh, right, okay.
As I remember, I can't recall a great deal about it. But would that get you walking back to the cinema? Never mind walking away. Let us know what you think of the comments section. Have you got any favourite Tim Burton movies? What are your favourite 2 films of 2024 so far? We're all ears for all of that. Of course we are. Let us know.
Introducing the Variations Freedom Package from Verizon. Go ahead, nothing's stopping you. Make all the calls you want. With unlimited calling, feel free to call anytime to anyone. Across town, across state, or across the country, even to Canada. No time restrictions, no limits on who you can call. Plus 5 services, including caller ID and home voicemail, all on one bill.
Call 1-800-483-0841 to sign up for just under $60 a month. You'll save over $240 every year.
And save more when you sign up for wireless and DSL.
Call 1-800-483-0841 for the freedom of unlimited calling.
So what's stopping you? Verizon. Make progress every day.
Wow.
Didn't know we could do that, did you? Yeah.
No, not at all.
That's the deleted scene from Disney Star Wars. That is.
Yeah, James Earl Jones passed away this week. Everybody, age 93, an American actor, well known for film roles as well as work in theatre, and one of the few performers to achieve what they call the EGOT, in that this is EGOT, in that he won an Emmy, won a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. And for, of course, our purposes, our geeky purposes, his was the voice that sort of fueled our greatest, if not nightmares, certainly greatest adventures in outer space, as the voice of Darth Vader in all those Star Wars films from 1977 to the present day. A real legend of the cinema and pop culture royalty in many respects, Ian.
Yes. A brilliant actor as far as I'm concerned. I remember him in Roots. I remember him that I keep saying this, the part that I remember him from the most is Fields of Dreams, when he played Michael Mann. I thought he was brilliant in that.
It's a huge career, isn't it? When you look back at his filmography, there's lots of films that, for a big man with such a distinctive voice and look and that smile, he was still such a great character actor. He could disappear into those roles.
He even starred on TV. He was in an episode of House, as I recall.
Was he?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, God, yeah, the dictator.
Yes, the dictator.
Okay, he was such a great character actor. He played the Green Cross Code Man, totally white. Incredible.
With the Australian accents, yeah.
You would never know. You would never know. Look, I have to go. I just want to say thank you for having me. By the way, James Earl Jones, very, very sad he's dead, but his voice is probably the most AI-able voice of all time. It's going to be the easiest one to reproduce. We're not going to miss his performance. I'm sorry. That one you can probably do yourself right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll bid you adieu. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for your company, Rabbi. Take care. Sleep well.
Cheers. Ta-da.
Yeah, James Earl Jones was born in January 1931. Chris grew up in the small town of Dublin in Michigan and went to university. Graduating in 1955, son of a prize fighter turned actor, Robert Earl Jones, and they were estranged long into the actor's adulthood, and yet they would eventually star together in a stage revival of Mice and Men, so they did eventually get reunited. A fabulous actor, just as Ian was saying. I've lost count of the amount of things that I've seen him in or forgotten that was him in them. Do you think it's a bit of a travesty that we always mention Darth Vader first? Chris, what are your thoughts about James Earl Jones?
Well, when you look at the length of his career, it's staggering. Like, I think one of his first roles, Dr. Strangelove, which was 1960.
Yeah.
So if you add that up, that's like 65 years. They've also, I believe he signed away the rights to his voice, or he's one of the actors that did that. Like, I think him and the guy that narrated, I think it was Forensic Files, so they can use him as Darth Vader in the future. I remember the first time I saw James Earl Jones in something that wasn't Star Wars. I'm sure everybody here has seen Field of Dreams from 1989.
Love that film.
My stories always come with stories. I remember the first time seeing that. My dad used to rent movies every Friday, and then we'd record them. So I remember he's talking about, I knew who Kevin Costner was. He's like, yeah, I know this baseball movie. I hated baseball, but he's like, no, you need to check this out. You'll like it. So I remember being so shocked. I'm like, my God, that's Darth Vader. I didn't even know what Darth Vader looked like. I'd only ever known him as Darth Vader. I'm like, oh, then I'm like, yeah, the sort of cranky academic he plays in it, but and Darth Vader is just the voice, it's I can't remember his name who physically played
Dave Prowse.
Darth Vader, but when you think of one of the most iconic voices in history, it's Darth Vader. I kind of wish he hadn't voiced Darth Vader in Rogue One, because you could tell by that point he had definitely aged. But if you were to say who has the most powerful, most recognizable voice in Hollywood history, it's James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Darth Vader.
Apparently, he was very much down on his luck when he got this part, Ian, as the voice of Darth Vader back in 1976. I suppose he would have landed that.
Yes, he was. I think he only had like $20 in his account or something like that, and he got the voice of Darth Vader. He did it really quickly, apparently. But yeah, I mean, he was talking about. I can't remember what show he was talking about when he was handed the script. When he said, "No, I'm your father," he was like, he just looked at George Lucas and went, "Really?" so there you go. So yeah, listen, I always remember him from Fields of Dreams. Always, that's the role that I take away. He's done a lot of stuff. He's done. He did Roots. He did a voiceover for The Lion King. He's done so much stuff. But the one that carries with me is the character in Field of Dreams. I don't know why. It just does. So yeah, it's a shame he's gone.
And one thing that's funny that I should add, he wasn't even originally supposed. He was cast as the voice of Darth Vader in post-production.
Yes, he was.
Because the original cut of what eventually was renamed A New Hope was an absolute disaster. Yeah. And you can see clips with the original voice of Darth Vader. I'm like, it would have made a Roger Corman movie look like a masterpiece. Yeah. Had the original version gone out. So he was cast in post. And the things that saved Star Wars, one was the editing, cutting out some ridiculous scenes. One was the musical score. And the one thing that elevated it way beyond what it was originally was James Earl Jones redoing those voices. They're on YouTube and they're on some of the
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've got a quote here from George Lucas, John. He's talking about James Earl Jones. And he described him as a most unique voice in both art and spirit. For nearly half a century, he was Darth Vader. But the secret to it all was that he was a beautiful human being. He gave depth, sincerity, and meaning to all his roles, amongst the most important being a devoted husband to the late Cece and dad to Flynn. James will be missed by so many of us, friends and fans alike.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Darth Vader, that voice is iconic for me as a child. It chilled me. I remember going into supermarkets and I used to dress people up as Darth Vader to scare kids in supermarkets, and it had that voice, and it used to terrify me. So it's making me shiver. Think about it now.
It is. It's so harsh, isn't it? So unforgiving and cold.
It's so good, but I mean, like you talk about the other films, I know Michael Hughes mentioned in the chat about the Jack Ryan films with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he was.
And Alec Baldwin. He was good as the Admiral in those films. But I also loved him in Coming to America as well, which is a big favorite of mine. He was great. It just him and Eddie Murphy were, I think one of his lines is, I always thought you slept with your mates. I do.
Yeah. He didn't want to say that though. You do realize that, don't you? When he was handed the script, he wasn't very happy with all the swearing in it.
Oh, really?
That's what he told Eddie. Yeah, he told Eddie. Yeah, the making of is on Netflix, I think, and he told Eddie Murphy, "Look, do I have to swear?" And Eddie Murphy was like, "Yeah, you do." And so he did it, but he wasn't happy with it. That's why in the second one he he didn't swear at all in the second one.
I've never even seen the second one. I heard such bad things about it, but knowing that he's in it, it's inevitable that I'm going to watch that film. It just makes it more authentic. There's a huge fan base for a film called The Sandlot as well, another baseball film, Ian, about a bunch of kids. I've never seen this until quite recently. I'd never even heard of it. It's one of those films that's far bigger in America than it is in Britain. It's never really translated here.
Yeah, I think it's a good film. I've only seen it once. I saw it on TV, in fact, but I thought it was good. The kids are really good in it.
Oh, I'm going to have to seek that out. Of course, he was the villain, wasn't he, in Conan the Barbarian back in 1982 opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger. Unforgettable villainy, and this time we got to see his face.
Yeah,
that's a superb film. That's a 4K film, Chris.
Absolutely superb film.
Yeah, it again, right? It's a shame that he's gone, right? But he's left a legacy. Is that the right word to use? And he was, as far as I was concerned, he was a very, very, very good actor. You couldn't cast him as someone weak at all. He had that voice, he had the presence, and his physical presence. You couldn't cast him as someone that was scared, or he always had to play someone with power, didn't he? Because he was that kind of a man, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He seems to have, in some of the other roles that I've seen him in, I mean, and it seems like, just looking at The Sandlot as well, just researching that, it seems like there was some fragility to some of the characters that he played. It depends on how layered the scripts were. I haven't seen Field of Dreams for a long time, for example, but that's quite nuanced as well, isn't it?
No, Field of Dreams, right? It's a magical... Look, if it wasn't for all those actors, that includes Kevin Costner, that film would never have worked, because the script doesn't give you any answers at all, right? Yeah. All this stuff happens in it and there's no answers, but you go on the ride because of James Horner's music, the performances from everyone, and I do mean everyone, even a little girl. You're taken away with a little girl. Burt Lancaster's last movie, it's just so magical, that film. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I watched it recently.
I also found out through researching this as well that James Earl Jones, believe it or not, the man with that voice, took acting lessons originally to help him get over his stutter. He had a verbal stutter that he just couldn't get over throughout his childhood, and so much so that he spoke very, very little. He was next to a mute. Yeah. It's unimaginable now. And did you know that he declined to have his name on the credits of both of those first two Star Wars movies? Simply, it wasn't because he was embarrassed by the films at all. He just didn't feel that his contribution was particularly significant, and that it didn't warrant a credit.
Yeah, but there are some actors that do believe that. Like, I think it was the guy who played John Doe. I can't remember the actor's name in Seven. He didn't want the credit, did he? He only had the credit at the end. He didn't want it in the beginning. So I think I think also some actors think that they'll break the magic of film if they do put their name to a character that they're not wholly part of, if you know what I mean. It's like the guy who did the voice for Kit in Knight Rider. Yeah. He never got credited for that at all. And his excuse was, look, if I put my name to it, then the kids that watch Knight Rider, it'll destroy the whole fantasy of the car being alive. So that's why he didn't have a credit, apparently. So there you go. Yeah, he
was never interested in retiring, Ian. He didn't consider that to be an option. And he was the first ever celebrity to appear on the kids' series Sesame Street. That's got to be claims to fame.
Yeah, he was. And I think it was... Yeah, I think he was. Was he? He was, wasn't he? Yeah. Wow.
Apparently so.
Ransom, yeah. Wow.
Just another legend gone from cinema,
obviously,
like Ian said, he's had a good innings, isn't he? So
obviously 93 years is a long life, and it is a hell of a filmography, and to multiple generations of people as well, because obviously for us it's very much Star Wars, but for people slightly younger than us, he's Mufasa as well in The Lion King.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. What a great! It's really funny, right? Because when they think about him, they think of Darth Vader, think the menacing voice, and then you watch this film, and his voice is very
comforting, patriarchal, loving.
Yeah. So there you go.
Heroic.
Funny enough, one of my favorite moments for James Earl Jones is the episode of The Simpsons with Bleeding Gums Murphy dying, and Lisa sees Bleeding Gums in the clouds, and then suddenly Mufasa turns up and Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is like, "Luke, I'm your father," and Bleeding Gums is like, "I'm trying to talk to the girl here," like that. And go away. And it's so good, He came back and just did those two.
I haven't ever seen the live action of The Lion King. The animated one is my favourite Disney movie.
Yeah,
but apparently because they recast every voice part, didn't they? Apart from Mufasa.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
The reason why it didn't work is because they did the animals so realistically. The animals couldn't do any expressions on the face, unlike the cartoon. So it just didn't. For me, it just didn't work. But
I haven't seen it.
It's like how can you cast somebody else to play that character? You just can't. You just can't. It just wouldn't work. It's like when they tried cast somebody else as Buzz Lightyear in that film Lightyear.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't work. The kids didn't warm to it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Good move.
It's hard. It's hard for me to pick a favourite between Mufasa and Darth Vader, even though they're kind of polar opposites. But who was it? You mentioned his performance in House. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
but I do remember his turn on The Big Bang Theory. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah, twice.
Well, Sheldon in this one, in the one that I've seen, I don't know if I've seen two. I've certainly seen one. In the one that I've seen, Sheldon gets banned for life from San Diego Comic-Con, and he decides to sort of strike out on his own, doesn't he? And organise his own Comic-Con and contacts some guests who he thinks he's going to be able to schmooze John. And one of them is James Earl Jones, who he's quite reluctant, isn't he, to speak to him. He finds him a daunting presence, only to find that when he does speak to him, James Earl Jones is a bigger Star Wars fan than even Sheldon is, and they go out for a night on the town, don't they? Knock up Carrie Fisher, and they go to a sauna. They do. Oh, it's really great stuff.
I do love that, when they knock on Carrie Fisher's door, and she's like, "I've had enough of this, James."
You forgot this is CNN. Yes.
Yeah.
Back when CNN covered news.
Was he the voice of CNN as well?
Yeah.
Incredible. There are lots of different people of different generations who will have seen him and heard him in lots of different things, and there'll be way more to discover as well. I mean, it is the case so often, isn't it, when we lose actors or recording artists and things like that. There's a bit of a resurgence of interest in their work, and things get reappraised.
Yeah, the only thing that really bothers me is that, for me, I don't know about Chris or John, it bothers me, but it also is warning me that life is fleeting. All my heroes are disappearing. Yep. This guy, what's it? Who was the last actor to have disappeared as well?
And several this week, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's not. It's just warning us that time is fleeting, and we should just make the most of what we've got now.
Yeah.
There was one picture that was making its way around Twitter, just showing from Star Wars. You've got Mark Hamill, who's I'm not going to go into him, and Harrison Ford are the only two left. But no, it's Ian, I get that too, and it's my two childhood heroes were Tom Baker and William Shatner.
Yeah,
they're both around. They're both in their 90s.
Yeah,
it sucks.
It does. Yeah. It does. And I reckon, look, I don't wish it to happen, but the next one I reckon is going to be Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood's going to go. And when Clint Eastwood goes, it's going to leave a hole in my heart, because Clint Eastwood was one of my heroes, film-wise, movie-wise. So it's getting to the point where in my opinion, all the real stars are going now. I mean, don't hold that against me.
No, it's no, Ian. It's and this has been spoken about a lot. Like the day of the Hollywood star is over, because Twitter was the final nail in the coffin. Yeah. We don't our movie stars now. They're in their 60s. They're Tom Cruise's. Just It is so many eras of Hollywood are. Well, I'm not going to use Hollywood entertainment. Are over now. Like the era of the star is over. The era of just the brilliant movies we had in the 80s maybe kind of into the 90s, but when you have films like E.T., the first Star Wars, which is 77, Beetlejuice, I think that era is gone.
Yeah.
And I think,
yes.
I think you're right, Chris. And I think also I look back on it now, and with it being such a good time, where I sometimes wish we didn't have social media now, because you just heard of a film, you watch the film in the cinema, you might pick up a program at the cinema, or you might see a magazine come out about the latest film. But now it's, if a film comes out, it's 24/7 plastered everywhere, isn't it? So you know what pants they're wearing.
And there was a saying, you don't want to meet your heroes, and that's what Twitter has done. Like there was a mystique in the 80s, 90s, and even in the early days of the internet. But it's there was this idea that Hollywood celebrities, there was something mythic about them, that they weren't like the
magical.
Rest.
Yeah.
But now you have them on Twitter, and you're like, my God, these are horrible people. I remember I made a video, it must be about 6 years now, when I first realized what kind of person Mark Hamill actually was, and I think it's still.
I still like Mark Hamill.
It's getting very, very hard to like him. I have to say.
He's still Luke Skywalker. He's still the definitive Joker. I don't want to know what you think. It's wrecked our celebrities.
I'll tell you one thing, right? I was watching YouTube today, and I came across in Germany. They did this concert, and John Wynne was composing, and he was doing the music from Jurassic Park, and it was all live, and it was like, I think it was Germany, whatever. And I was looking at John Williams, and he's in his he's 94. Yeah. And he's still, you can tell. And I'm like, oh my God, my heart's going to break when that guy goes. It's literally going to shatter.
94.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed.
Well, William Shatner went into space. He was 91 when he went into space.
Yeah.
Crazy. That guy's a machine, though. He just doesn't stop, does he? Yeah. Shatner. Yeah. And he says that. He goes,
he was involved in another Twitter controversy today. I love his controversies. Apparently he's in trouble for his horses, because somebody said, you're not one of us, William, because you can afford to treat your horses better than other people. So that's it's one of the few Twitter accounts I can actually enjoy, because he just does not care what anyone thinks. God love the man.
But I'll just recommend a film for you guys if you get a chance. It was Burt Reynolds' last movie. It was called The Last Movie Star. And when you watch that film, I'm not going to give anything away, that will explain exactly how we feel, and when it comes to old movies, like the people that we grew up with. If you ever get a chance to watch that film, it really does break your heart when you watch that movie. It really does. Obviously, he's playing a fictitious version of himself, but the film is about him.
You're right. When I think about James Earl Jones, and you're right, Clint Eastwood is definitely kind of the last of a generation, probably, of Hollywood stars. And I'd forgotten that James Earl Jones, he worked with Richard Burton. Richard Burton's been dead for been dead for 40 years. They were together in Exorcist II, The Heretic. And so he's a link to that time.
He was one of the very...
And Shatner is too.
Yeah.
Shatner, Star Trek, Columbo, all that cluster of shows.
A Twilight Zone he was in, the original, Shatner. But the thing is, though, Earl Jones, he was part of the... They didn't put him in a you got the, the Brat Pack. But way back, he was part of the elite of black actors with Sidney Poitier, and there were other, Halle Berry, what's his name? Fonte. And Earl Jones, even though he wasn't as well known as those two, he was part of that. Do you know what I mean? So here
he is in his breakout role, 1970s, The Great White Hope. There, I've never seen this film. I love a boxing movie. I'm going to have to seek this one out. And he did some training with, I think you may recognise this guy,
Muhammad Ali.
In 1969.
Muhammad Ali broke his thumb there. Apparently, broke his thumb. He stopped his fist. Because Muhammad Ali said, well, somebody told me this. Muhammad Ali said to him, "Throw a real punch at me," and he did, and he stopped it and accidentally broke his thumb. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Links to all of those people. There are very few of them. Paul McCartney is another one. You think that man is walking history.
You're gonna make me
like
cry
him
now.
or not. Yeah.
Same thing
Yeah.
with Phil Collins is one of my heroes as well, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it so breaks my heart to see the way he is now. I just
Well, that's Phil Collins. That's somebody who was so dedicated to his craft. That's why his body eventually gave out on him.
Yeah.
Because it's you have people that will inject things, to cheat. No, he was injecting steroids because it was, he was, I think, in his 40s when he became really big, and he was injecting steroids just so he could get on stage. And so it's somebody who like literally gave up his body, so he could just get on with entertaining.
Yeah.
Just looking over in the live chat here, other people paying tribute here to James Earl Jones, of course, joining us here, including Lord Thoth. Good evening, Lord Thoth. And Sentai Ranger Donny to their rest in peace, James Earl Jones. And Stephen Braddock echoes the same. What a legend. Michael Q says, rest in peace, Darth Vader.
We can only be so lucky as Earl Jones to actually die with something that people will remember you for more than your family, if you know what I mean. But he's very lucky that he has that legacy.
I got a question, and I'd like other people's opinions on this. So James Earl Jones, as far as I know, he's one of those artists that signed over the rights to his voice to be used in AI. I don't agree with that.
I agree.
I don't like the idea of recreating stars after they're gone. It's the same thing as the guy that used to do forensics files. He died a few years ago, and he sold away his voice. And you hear him come up, and he's doing like these police cam videos and things like that. It's the same thing with Peter Cushing in Rogue One. And I'm just firmly against.
Happened?
Yeah, after the actor is gone, I think their likeness, their voice, their whatever should be gone too. Now I can understand although Star Wars is, destroyed, but let's say, for instance, Star Wars hadn't been destroyed. Could you do Darth Vader without James Earl Jones? You might be able to get an imitator. But no, retire the character.
But the thing is, though, the reason why he's done it, and same thing with other actors that's done it, is so that the money goes to the family that they leave behind.
That is true. Yeah.
So I understand that. I understand why he did it. I understand, why
I have to respect it theoretically. I find it unpalatable. But I have to say, it is his choice. It was his choice. Yeah. It's no different from being an organ donor, some would say.
Well, there's two things I'll say on that. I don't agree with it unless they have the family are aware and the person has signed up to it. But to give you an example, when they did the Obi-Wan series, that wasn't James Earl Jones doing it. From what I had read, it was actually the recordings, and it was the AI doing the voice of Vader at that point. The other thing is, you've probably seen in the news this week that Disney are potentially facing legal action because they didn't get permission, apparently, for Cushing in Rogue One for his likeness. So that hit the press this week. So I'd be interested to see what happens there, because whether you're for it or against it, I think we're going to get to a point within the next few years where there's going to be a legal battle. On
there's
whether
one
you can
going
or can't. Yeah,
there's one going on now about AI stealing people's work. So there's one that's been ongoing for a very long time. But I can see why he did it. Obviously, he wants his family to be secured, the family that he's left. So so obviously all that money when they use it's going to go to the family. And I think it was the same with Shatner's already signed up. All the money goes to his family. So one thing I don't want them to do, right, is to bring back someone like Humphrey Bogart. digitally or voice. You know, those stars. You know what I mean? That didn't agree to it. But if these stars agree to it, you know, it is what it is.
Depends on the problem is also Disney owns the rights to Darth Vader, and God knows what they'll do with it. This being Disney, and and Rogue One is one of the only modern Star Wars things that I really like. But beyond Star Wars, I'm a massive fan of Peter Cushing, especially he was one of the house actors for Hammer Horror for years.
Yeah,
legend.
And that just creeps me out. And I remember seeing in the theater, because I think the average person only knows him as Tarkin. I know him as dozens of roles beyond that, especially his Frankenstein movies, which I think is the one thing that he
that was the one that he played the most, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or
well, he was also technically Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I remember watching Rogue One, and I didn't know I saw in the theater. I didn't know they were doing it. I was genuinely creeped out.
No, I wasn't.
I was a little. I have to admit,
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, now when I look at it, I think it's not very good. But I wasn't. I was amazed. I was like, "Wow, they did it!" You know. So, but now you look at the effects. Now it doesn't. It's a bit janky. It's a bit. I don't know. It's a bit. Canny Valley kind of thing. When you look at it very carefully.
From me as a Star Wars fan, though, and how bad it's gone, like I enjoyed Rogue One, but after that, I've not enjoyed any of them. Similar to what Chris said and you've said there, Ian. But I think I'm at a point now where I'm like, well, don't use Darth Vader again, even though I know Disney are going to do it at some point, because Darth Vader, those stories have been told, and they're wonderful, magical stories that I go back to again and again. It's time to dip into the creative wow at some point in the future and come up with something new and fresh, a new idea. And I just think, leave it be, move forward with something else. But I don't think I'm going to get that come true. I think they're going to use that.
It's like I don't want to see Captain Kirk come back without William Shatner. I also kind of wonder which version of William Shatner's voice did they sample, because between the original series and the films, his voice changed completely.
No, but no. What you have to understand, Chris, is that they don't need his voice as it is now. They can dip into the recordings
they can sample
of the original Star Trek and then get the AI to copy that. But it's just permission of him to say, that's okay. And when I get paid, make sure my family gets the money. That kind of thing. So you don't need his voice now at all.
So do you think we're 10, 20 years away from studios doing hypothetically new Star Trek series with the original crew, but as AI created with audio?
No, I am completely against the AI in all its forms. Anybody who's looking at this objectively with some distance, and I think it will mainly be older people that can see this. I see AI as being the end of everything. It's the end of work, but entertainment, no. And I know we're going to, because it's going to be cheaper, we're going into a future where everything is going to be AI generated. It will be actors that have been dead forever. I don't want to see it. And I think that's another reason why we can never go back to the way entertainment was in the 80s. We know what we'd like to see, but we're not in charge of this. The people who want to make money are in charge of this.
Yeah.
So it's like Humphrey Bogart. Oh, Bing Crosby is back. White Christmas Part 2. I think that's when I will step out of entertainment completely.
I honestly, I mean, just going down the AI route, I honestly believe that, I wouldn't want, I think it has its place. Yeah. AI. I think using it sparingly in movies when you can't do something and you get permission, I think that's fine. But using it to create a whole movie or write a script or to create someone, without permission, or to just make a whole film with an AI unit, I think that's wrong. I think
where it's going.
Yeah, that's where the jobs are going to be disappearing. And in fact, I've had like 3 jobs next month disappeared because of AI. Because I do interviews, I do corporate video stuff to just keep my bread and butter money in, and 3 of them have gone because of AI, because the clients can do it themselves now. So it is destroying jobs, but what can you do, eh?
Let's wrap this one up with all our gratitude and love and respect to James Earl Jones, who passed away at the age of 93 last week. Performances we can all enjoy over and over again, whatever generation that we are. All those films he made with Harrison Ford, and not just the Star Wars ones, but the Patriot games, Clear and Present Danger. All those. Everything that he turns up in, you can go back and savour them all. And let us know which of your favourites are, which ones are your favourites, sorry, in the comments section too. We're all ears. That's the beauty of having these communities and these places where we can gather together. Yes, social media has its ups and downs, but this is absolutely one of the ups. So we can mourn James Earl Jones and celebrate his life and work together, can't we? So let us know in the comments all of your thoughts and your picks for favourite performances and movies. Mission accomplished, everybody. At long last, another cracker. Some brilliant comments as well. As always, we've been live streaming this across YouTube, Rumble, X, and on Facebook too. But yeah, this is how we go out. As always, both legs akimbo and with a great big.
Is that Rabbi from what he was talking about at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It's very difficult to sort of shift that, isn't it, from your frontal lobe after a little while. But yeah, thank you obviously to the Rabbi from another planet for joining us as our guest on this edition of the Spacebook Live. You can find him at Svila Betkin on YouTube and on Rumble, and I know he's on Twitter as well. I think he's just the Rabbi on Twitter. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, we want to know your thoughts about James Earl Jones, about Beetlejuice, and the original Beetlejuice for that matter, about the films of Tim Burton throughout the decades, 20-odd movies we were talking about there, and the return of the Lord of the Rings series to cinemas, maybe for 2026, in the hunt for Golem, which is certain to make it's going to make people a few quid, isn't it? What are your thoughts about that? Is it a completely cynical exercise? That's what we'd like to know. I think we've got a fair idea about that here on the panel, but I'm all ears for all of your comments as well. And let's have some of those reviews of Beetlejuice still in the cinemas. It does look like it's going to have an extended stint. Sometimes they seem to take movies out of cinemas pretty damn quick nowadays, Ian. I can either get recommended something by someone or be the person doing the recommending, and by the time they've decided they want to go and see it, or I have, the bloody thing's vanished. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, the thing is that I'll always say this: word of mouth is stronger than anything on YouTube, anything that the critics can chuck at you. If someone says it's good, 9 times out of 10, I'll go and see it. Like, I was never going to go and see Deadpool and Wolverine until somebody said, "Oh, it's really good," so I went to see it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. I don't trust cinema films anymore. I rely on people that I trust to tell me whether it's good or not, and then I go and see it. Gone are the days when something's big and you have to be there first in the queue, getting your ticket, queuing up. All those days are gone.
Yeah. Rely on your mates, mate. The kind of stout fellows and women who would pull you out of the dirt after you'd been a bit ambitious with your space opera and ended up face first in some dog shit over the park. There, that's the kind of comrade you need, isn't it? For these missions out there entertainment in movies, TV, comic books, and everywhere else. Physical media too. We're going to be talking a lot about physical media as the show sort of builds and builds over the next couple of months, and we get back into this being a regular thing. Chris, that means you're absolutely essential with all your knowledge of HDR and 4K, and I think we need to hear more about your tiers, don't we? We definitely need to get stuck into more of that. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us again.
I don't think he's there. Chris, you there?
Hello. That something went funny there for a second. I don't know if that thing.
Of course, he's there.
Exploding. I'm here.
Of course, he's there. So for people who don't know, there can't be many people who don't recognise your logo there. But for people who don't know, where can they follow you? Where can they hear your content, see your content, and where can they follow you for more from the inside track, from the mind of Bolstrek?
I have a YouTube channel that goes by this name that I post videos on. I haven't done a video since like June, but something might come up. I got my 2 Twitter accounts. I've got @BowlsTrek, which is it's a dumpster fire of an account. It's just there. I like making people mad with that account. If you like normal stuff, I'm under Cultivated Media, INC, where I discuss physical media, horror movies, things like that.
And that's what Chris really looks like right there.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
That's what he turned into after he came out of Force Awakens.
There you go.
John, we're halfway through the weekend, mate. Do you set out a list of things you're going to watch or things you're going to read when you get to the weekend, and how are you faring so far? What's on the agenda for the rest of the weekend for John?
Well, I'm going to watch a film actually Ian recommended to me, which is Money.
Oh, no, you don't. You don't
yeah.
do that. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, you mentioned it last week, didn't you, Ian?
Yeah. So I'm going to check that one out, and then I've decided I've got the 4K of Point Break to watch.
Great film.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to sticking that one on, and I always find something. I've got a catalogue here. I'll find something decent to stick on after that as well. You know.
That's it. That's the spirit. That's the Bulldog spirit, John. We can find you on Twitter as well, can't we? All on X.
Yeah. So I'm on X at Gallifrey11 if anyone wants to pop over and say hello. And then I've just got a YouTube channel just reviewing sort of Doctor Who from the beginning to present day. Yeah. So that's Sci-Fi
Creeping your way through the back catalogue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
go on, say that again. Sorry. What's it called again?
It's Sci-Fi Chronicles 79, and and I'll be finished by about 2060, I reckon. By the time
that Tim Burton makes that third Beetlejuice movie.
Exactly. So I'll meet you back here.
Yeah, good stuff. Ian, as always, great to have your company on this one, pal. Very much doing the stream was sort of the dessert course, wasn't it, to your takeaway earlier on? I didn't realise that.
It was, yeah.
How's it settled, mate? You got one baking? You can't wait to get in the chamber?
No. Not like the rabbi. Where my ass is.
I said, get down the trench, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh God, absolutely fantastic stuff. Yes, thank you again, Ian, as always. What have you got planned for the rest of your weekend? Anything cool? You out shooting Rebecca Gold too?
No, not. No, I'm gonna construct a trailer soon, and I'm hoping that I can raise some money so I can finish it, because I've literally run out of money to finish it. It all looks terrific. It all works. Performances are there, but yeah, I just hope I can finish it. And it'll probably be released next year now, because I didn't realize how long it took us, because how many months to Christmas? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, right? Yeah, it's crazy. So there's no way I'm going to finish it this year, but I'm close. I'm close in finishing it.
What we're going to do, make sure we give you lots of publicity here on the Spacebook Live, and we'll do some coverage as well when you put that trailer out. I think that could be great. Yeah, more of that, please. More of that. Thank you, Ian. And you can find me across X and Instagram as the Spacebook, where I'm wheezing and groaning and ranting and raving about all things geeky and pop culturally. It's the phrase. God, I'm getting tired. All things geeky in movies, TV, comic books, and everything else. Now and again, I talk about real life as well. It's a very dangerous. Good. It's a very dangerous thing to do. No, not in the under the reign of Keir Starmer. It's a very dangerous thing to do.
That's true.
Knock at the door. Yeah, but so if you do see me doing that, please stop me. But otherwise, you can follow me on social media, and you can keep an eye on what I'm watching, what I'm reading, what's on my mind, if you dare. So come and find me. Come and find me there. So more of this. So we're going for a big run with this show. We're very much up and running. Who will be our guest next week? I think I know everybody. I think I've got a general idea about where we're going to go with that, but you'll have to wait. Stay notified. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check you're still subscribed, and hit the cloister bell. It's always the cloister bell. It's always the cloister bell. To get notified about what's coming next, where and when. Earlier live streams are up on the channel. There's 6 podcasts there as well that we recorded earlier in the year, including a review of Deadpool and Wolverine, one of our Guile, the Henry Cavill movie. We've got our birthday party for the great Tom Baker when he turned 90. That's on there too. And various other things as well. There's listed editions of Total Recall of Sapphire and Steel, and a Christmas party one too. And there's our deep dive review of Alien Romulus from just a couple of weeks ago as well. So more coming at you on the Spacebook channel. And for the Doctor Who stuff, head over to Type 40, and this is the latest sort of smattering of live streams there. So you have our Doctor Who Podcast Day special there, where we were joined by Ken Deep and Mark Who 42 and Toby Haydoke. There's our Smash Summer special. Yeah, it's getting a bit parky now, but if you want a reminder about when it was a little bit warmer, then you can get our summer special back in your life and sip away at something as you imagine what it was like when the temperature was a bit higher. There's our Type 40 live from Hooverville 15 special there. We've smashed together all our clips of everybody we spoke to, including the gorgeous Wendy Padbury there in Derby at Quad just a couple of weeks ago. Go and get that, as well as our regular live streams with 100% concentrated Doctor Who content there. News, views, rants, raves, banter, nostalgia, and everything else over at Type 40. Check your devices, everybody. I think a successful mission. Absolutely. Thank you all for your company and for some fantastic comments there too in the live chat. Keep them coming as well. Let's get some conversation started, and we'll be back with more very, very soon. More out there entertainment. So yes, stay notified. We'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Cheers.